Hey man, you're going into your third year. How do you feel now? I mean, I know you said last year that it took you a while to get comfortable. You must be really comfortable now.
Yeah, I mean, I felt I was much more comfortable last year. I think, obviously, the COVID situation threw a wrench in kind of everybody's, I guess, how they're feeling and how comfortable they are and all the changes. But it's great to be back to somewhat normal, I guess. And it's great having everyone around the rink and not as many rules, and it's kind of back to the normal. And everybody's feeling good, having fun, and there's some good energy, good positivity around the rink, and it's definitely enjoyable to be back.
You say things are different. Are expectations within the room different too for this team?
I think so. I think it kind of goes without saying, but I think it's definitely something as a group of leaders we've discussed, and I think the message has been pretty clear to the team that we're flipping the page, and you got to have everyone buy in and commit to that. And I think it really started last year with the changes. They kind of sent that message, and it was definitely received by the players. And I mean, obviously everybody wants to make the playoffs. That's the goal. But there's 31 other teams sitting here saying they want to make the playoffs too. I mean, this is about building something more than making the playoffs one year. We want to build a culture and I guess a commitment to not just winning and making the playoffs, but we're trying to build a contender, and we're not coming here to try to build a team to make the playoffs. We're building a team to try to win a Stanley Cup, and I mean that's kind of where the goal is. I don't think coming here and saying we have to make the playoffs this year. That's not really the end goal for us. Every team wants to make the playoffs, but we want to be a contending team and build a team that can contend for a long time.
You were remiss, or I was remiss in not asking you this first, but you didn't end the season on the ice last year. I mean, you were injured at the end of the season. Obviously, you're out there now. So, can you just tell us, how you're feeling physically and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, good. I felt pretty good with the head coming back, but I ended up spraining my knee in the process of trying to stand up. So we didn't really want to play with that along with the head and kind of go out there not 100% on my legs with the head coming back. So we just decided that it was the best decision to sit out the rest of the year at the point we're at.
You mentioned the leadership group. You talked about feeling more comfortable. Did you feel like you settled into more of a leadership role last year? I mean, we heard stories from teammates, from other people, like about you maybe being more vocal behind the scenes. Do you feel like that's something you consciously tried to do? Was it more organic? Like, how would you say that you've been functioning as a leader in the last year or so?
Well, I definitely think I've grown in that aspect. I think there's been so much change even from when I came in to even with now Hank being gone, with Mark being gone. That's a big turnover for what this team was for a lot of years. I guess it's not something you can easily just turn the page. That's a pretty long history of where the team was, and now we're not starting from scratch, but we're trying to build our team, our culture, what our team does, our identity. I mean, that's a part of it. I think we have more than one leader, and it takes more than one leader to lead a team. It's not just one guy up there hooting and hollering and saying stuff. If you don't have the buy-in from the assistant captains, the other leaders, the players on the team, just one guy talking, it doesn't mean much. It doesn't really do much from a leadership standpoint. So it takes all 23 guys to try to build the culture, build the winning attitude that we're trying to build here.
That said, it looks like there's going to be a captain here. That Chris has talked about that. Juan's talked about that. If they gave it to you, would you be comfortable wearing a suit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be an honor for sure. I mean, I think there's a lot of guys that are capable of doing it, and I don't think it's really going to change our leadership group much, depending who has it, who doesn't. We have our group that we know is going to lead this thing going forward, and we all kind of have our different strengths and different ways of leading, I guess. And I mean, they're all going to be counted on. We're going to need everybody in the room, and that's even the guys who you wouldn't say are in the leadership group as part of the team. Like you need everyone to be in on that, and it's not one guy, it's not three guys, it's not five guys, it's not even 18 guys. You can have 20, 23, 22. If one strays off, you got to have a good enough team and a good enough group to be able to bring that person back in. And that's leadership is kind of just the whole team buying into that philosophy. And when someone does stray off, the pack kind of brings it back in and keeps them on track.
Yesterday, Alan Fox was kind of talking about the continuity of the defense and you guys getting another year together, that core up at the top. Do you feel that with Keandre Miller? Do you feel more familiar? You're getting even more comfortable and you know each other's tendencies a bit better now?
Yeah, definitely. I think that comes with playing with anybody for an extended period of time. It's always a bit of an adjustment to go to a new partner. And when you find someone that clicks, it's definitely something that, I mean, I'm smiling about it. It's definitely something that, as a defenseman, you look for, and I think we got better as the year went on last year. I think we've talked a little bit over the summer about what we want to do and what we want to accomplish as a D pair and how we can get better, and I think we're on a good path, and just staying on that path and keep building.
Seeing him up close, a couple of us were talking. He looks older. Like, I don't know if it's just the facial hair, but he looks like
It's
more.
the goatee.
Is it? I mean, what's the difference in him that you've seen in terms of personality, in terms of game, just in the first few days here?
I think he's a little bit more comfortable too. I mean, he kind of knows a little bit more what to expect. I mean, we've talked a little bit over the summer about what's different in year two and what to expect and what not to change. And I mean, I kind of fell into that trap of, all right, year two, now I'm going to go blow the doors off this thing. In reality, you're 5-6 months older. You're not really going to change the player you are. The player he was. Obviously had a great season last year. You build on the strong characteristics that you have and the strengths of your game, and be aware of your weaknesses and work on those as well. But it's not flipping the game on its head and trying to be someone you're not. And he knows he can improve. I mean, everybody can improve. I can improve, and he puts in the work to do those things. But I mean, he has a lot of the raw ability, the size, the speed, the skating, the reach. I feel like he's never. There's times I think he's beat, or I gotta think I'm coming over to help, and he just pivots and puts a stick out, and he's perfect. He's fine. So those qualities are stuff you can't really teach, and he's definitely putting the time. He came back to New York pretty early, and we skated a bit together. So I think he's prepared to have a good season.
For you, from an individual standpoint, like where do you feel like your game's at? Because people will look and see you had more points when you were in Winnipeg, but I think it's probably fair to say you play a different role here.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you kind of view your role, and how do you kind of view where your game's at?
It's a good question. I would say my role on this team, I don't think I'm not the big point total guy on this team. That's not where I'm needed. I think the physicality, the edge, the bringing the effort every night kind of falls into the leadership category. That's stuff that I think is infectious as a team. I think we brought in more guys that play that style. If you want me to sit here and tell you I'm not the most talented player on this team, I'm definitely not. I don't skate like Cries, I ain't scoring like Mika, and I'm not passing like Brett. So the things I bring, I'd say, are a little bit more of the intangibles, just bringing the effort, and when you demand it out of yourself and bring it out of yourself, and the core group of leaders bring it, that's something that's infectious and trickles down, and it kind of gets the whole group to buy into that mentality, that effort, and know what's expected of everyone every night. And I mean, it doesn't mean much looking at the paper, but on paper we got a lot of skill, and I don't think skill was our issue last year. It's playing that hard, dirty, gross game at times, and I think we addressed that and brought in players to do that, and I think that's somewhere where I can really have an effect on the game.
The players.
Guys,
that
last
were-
one.
The players that were brought in, obviously, like you touched on why they were brought in. A couple of the guys, the forwards, were saying how it makes more identified roles, especially for them. Like, and everybody will have a better idea of exactly what their role is with the additions that they make. What impact does that have on the D, if any?
I mean, a little bit. You kind of know what that line's identity is. You could say each line kind of has a little bit of its own identity if they stay together long enough. Depends on matchups. I don't know how that's going to go, but who they're playing against, what the strategy is there, that can kind of have an impact. But overall, we're playing the same game, same systems with each line. As defensemen, you kind of you know your job. It doesn't really matter what forward line is out there. I guess just tendencies, and when lines stay together, you kind of know what their MO is and what they're trying to accomplish, whether it's cross ice or puck control or getting the puck deep and working below the goal line. Kind of know those kind of tendencies, and that can help you as a defenseman.